Okay, in this video, we are going to be reviewing The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Well, so while I'm going over some of these questions, you can go back into your group document and make some changes if you need to, if you feel like you might want to fix some of your answers. I'm not going to go over all of the questions in order, but I am going to go over a few of the characters and some of the important imagery that is within the story. So first of all, definitely want to talk about how the story begins. So everything just looks so tranquil. Everything looks so peaceful, like it's just going to be a normal day. It's a morning that's very clear and sunny. It's a summer day. There are flowers, and we see everyone gathering in the square. We know that the story is called The Lottery. That's the title of the story. And already we're being put at ease that this is normal. But of course, the more normal it is, the more sinister it seems like it's going to be. So there's a little bit of build up there as well. And the first group of people we see here are children. And we're seeing them collecting things like rocks and stones. We've got a few character names, and what seems to be really disturbing here is that, of course, since we don't, in the beginning of the story, we don't really know that the lottery is such an evil, bad tradition that we just think that this is what, kids do. They look for rocks. That's a normal thing. Maybe they play with them. They have a pet rock, it's normal. And then later on, we see that, those same stones are going to be used to kill someone. So that's not great. Also want to point out some of the language that is used, because this is very important in figuring out the very impartial tone or objective tone and objective point of view the narrator has. So if you see how this is phrased, the lottery was conducted by Mr. Summers. It just seems so official, and it's being compared to things like square dances, teen club, Halloween program. These are things that are like normal villages, normal neighborhoodly stuff to do, all right? But as we see later, it isn't normal. And what's really scary is that people just go along with it. This is a tradition. The same thing happens every year. Nothing has changed. We don't know how long this goes on for. So this kind of brings us to talking a little bit about the setting and the historical context, because the setting of the story seems like it's at least in an alternate world. All right. We like to think, okay, we would never let life, something like this get so far. We would never allow society to become this corrupted or this blasé, in the sense that like we just continue on and act like nothing is bad when obviously there's something evil happening in the town. So that is kind of the theme that our author Shirley Jackson is sort of getting at. She's writing this after World War II. In World War II, we had a lot of people from both sides who carried out orders that were really devastating to the world. You can think of like various Nazi soldiers who carried out orders. I mean, these are people with different roles that are like, they're dads, they're people who are just human beings, yet they were able to see other human beings as something less and carry out this sort of cruelty. We also see that happening with someone like the pilot who drops the atomic bomb. I mean, he doesn't realize how many children, how many women, how many people he would be killing dropping this bomb, and the devastating harm that would be done in that space, in that prefecture. But he carried out those orders anyways because that was his job. No one came around to say, okay, maybe we should take a look at ourselves in the mirror and realize that things are not good here. So those are definitely things that I want to talk about. And I want to also talk about the word irony here. things are very ironic because we already put in the expectation that things are going to be okay. This is going to be maybe a fun story. We find out that someone wins like a lottery and gets lots of money. All right. And we're put into that sense of expectation because of the words that are used. That's irony right there. Of course, once we find out that our expectations are not reality, the reality of the story is that, okay, they're going to kill a woman and not really say no to it. They just carry on this tradition, even though, here and there, a few people are like, okay, maybe, have you heard about the North Village where they're going to stop doing the lottery? I also want to talk about, in particular, Mr. Summers and Old Man Warner. Mr. Summers is very much like a government employee, a government clerk. He's only there to kind of carry out the orders. He never really gives a lot of his own opinions. He knows that it's part of his job that he just does this. He organizes this, but he's not the one who mandates it. There is some higher order that tells him what to do. Old Man Warner seems to be the only person who's really excited about the lottery. He doesn't want it to go away. And for him, that represents older people who are very stuck in their ways. They're unwilling to change. Because as you see, he is able to be this old because he's never won the lottery. I mean, if he wins, maybe he wouldn't be so excited about it. Maybe he would be like, okay, yeah, actually, I don't want to die. How about we save that for another day? So that's basically what I want to say. So if you need to talk a little bit and make some changes to your group work, you can do that. And otherwise, you can go ahead and watch the other video on theme.